To you Capricorns out here. So you Capricorns have the Queen of Swords, the Three of Swords, and then you Capricorns have the Star card. I don't really need to look at these cards. I'm so familiar with the tarot, with the Mermaid Tarot deck, but because it's one of my favorites out of all the ones that I've ever had. But for you Capricorns, right? A lot of you still wish to actually find someone that is a very good match for you, despite how much heartbreak that you've had. So there's definitely a sense of you Capricorns not really planning on giving up. A lot of you Capricorns still believe in love, as you should, because love definitely does exist. Love exists. It's just that it doesn't seem like it does, but it does. Just that a lot of people trying to front like they're more gangster than what they actually are. And the truth is that they can't, and I've talked to some people right off screen about this, right, and kind of explain myself a little bit more. But the gist of it is, you can't, the thing is that you can't be a tough person. You can't be a gangster, so to speak, or a G, and be in love at the same time. It's not gonna work, because to be in love is opposed to being tough, being a gangster. And what I mean by that is, being in love is a loss of the ego. It's about learning how to actually get more in touch with yourself, the real you, where the ego is not standing in the way of protection, right? Because the ego is to protect you. But too much of an ego is a bad thing, because you don't actually really get in touch with the real you. Now, the reason why it is that I'm saying that is because you Capricorn's actually doing the right thing. You still believe in love. You still show that you love people, right? You still show that you're capable of love. And since that's one of the you Capricorn's biggest saving graces. See, the people who are the most lost are the people who are getting down with the agenda, right? Getting down with the agenda, caught up in the games, right? And they getting messed up or what have you. And these individuals, right, they're essentially, they let their hearts harden spiritually to where now it's, even when someone is to be sincere with them, they have the mentality of, oh, they still need to play a person. And it's a vicious cycle back and forth. One side gets played. They want to stop feeling a certain kind of way, right? Because of the fact that they don't want to experience difficulties anymore, right? They don't want to experience heartbreak, right? They get scared of it. So what they do now is that they adopt the, oh, well, I got to get you before you get me type of mentality. And then now they go around and they end up doing that very same thing that was done to them, right? The harsh treatment, the dysfunction, the disrespect, they do it to somebody else. And then that's how it passes on. But every now and again, such as yourself, Capricorns, you could be in a situation where a person will try to break you down or whatever, and you'll still come out of it healed after you've taken some time, healed, and you're still willing to actually give people a chance. And that right there basically dispels the notion that, oh, you know, love is just a transaction type stuff. Because that's what it is that people be coming with. They be coming with whenever it is that, like, you know, they be coming with whenever it is that, like, you start talking about the real deal. You always have individuals that pop up and be like, oh, they disagree or whatnot. And then the next couple of cards that you have is the Nine of Pentacles and the Eight of Cups, which represents a lot of you Capricorns are not afraid to walk away from somebody. You know, I just see an overall hardness about you Capricorns without having to become that way. See, you don't get hard from trying to become heartless and cold and all this other type of stuff. That's not what happens. You just as sensitive, because how is it that you a gangster or whatever the case may be, or you hard, or hardened or whatever the case may be, when it's like a person can experience discomfort a couple of times and then now they start moving in an extreme way, right? The hardest people in the world are individuals who just understand the games, just have street smarts and know how to move and maneuver themselves in the world. But at the same time, ultimately, they're still there. They've kept the good parts of them and they know how to maneuver, but they also know how to guard those good parts, how to make sure that the ego doesn't get in the way, how to maneuver in the world, right? How to be able to decipher or understand what it is that people mean, not just what it is that they say, and just overall how to take less things personally, right? And how to essentially concentrate on their own self and what they've got going on. Because I'm gonna go ahead and talk about it at the end of this reading. The Ace of Wands and the Ten of Swords speaks to how, and a lot of you Capricorns are learning to do that. A lot of you Capricorns, the Ace of Wands, realization. A lot of you are waking up to the understanding that you Capricorns, very much so, you're worth a lot more than what it is that you Capricorns may have thought in the past, because you Capricorns are seeing some events where in the past you would have really internalized it, right? On some Eight of Swords stuff, you would have really internalized it and made it look as if like, you Capricorns are the ones that are trash and you're not worth it, and you're not worth this, and you're not worthy of this. But that's not true. And a lot of you Capricorns are understanding why. Don't worry, I'm gonna break down the game at the end of this video here when I'm done with the reading first, just to kind of go in and break it down some more. Because somebody had actually given me some opposition in the comment section, but the way that they did it was disingenuous, so I blocked them. But at the same time, I'm still gonna address it because this is a very good teaching moment. So the Page of Wands and the Afterlife card, that's what I'm going to call it. I can't say the D word, right? With Scorpio, I'm going to say afterlife, transition, stuff like that. The Page of Wands and the Afterlife card here represents, so a lot of you Capricorns are moving into the next stage of your life where you've built up that set experience like it is that I've been talking about. And now you Capricorns can move a lot more fluidly. And what I mean when I say fluidly, I'm talking about rejection or whatever the case may be isn't a difficult thing for you. We're gonna get into that. So let's clarify the Afterlife card. Yeah, let's get into it. So you have the Magician, the Eight of Pentacles, the Hierophant, the Strength card, and then you have the Judgment to clarify the Afterlife card, right? So a lot of you Capricorns understand that you were missing certain parts, bits and pieces of your vision. The Magician represents a person who has a lot of vision, a person who is not just in touch with their human side as far as their body, right? Their physical body, but a magician is a person who has cosmic awareness. It's kind of it's almost kind of like a ubiquity or like an omnipresence, a person that is aware of a lot of all things, a person's mind that has been essentially opened, and they achieve a certain level of ubiquity because or omnipresence from being mindful of not just themselves but others as well, right? And you Capricorns understand that, you understand what people are up to, but you understand that as long as you make sure that you're safe, you're alive to tell the tale, what it is that they've got going on, for the most part, is not really any, it's for the most part, it's stuff that you basically really have to laugh at. And we're going to get into it. We're going to get into it, right? We're going to get into it because the Hierophant represents cosmic understanding, like I've been talking about, right? So a lot of epiphanies that are essentially popping up, right? And then you have the Strength card and the Judgment, which represents how a lot of you Capricorns, and there's this sense of you Capricorns knowing who you are and not being offended, not taking it personally, basically being spiritual to the point where you're different, even in the face of the Strength card and the Judgment, somebody ragging on you, bagging on you, trying to make you feel low. Which brings me to the end of the video, like I've been talking about, so I can just kind of chop up some raw game for y'all, right? Just kind of bring it to your attention. And when I say chop it up, I mean chit chat, talk. Here's the thing, right? Somebody in the comment section basically was talking about how it is. They asked this question in a very disingenuous way. But long story short, they was talking about how it is that how come it is that spiritual people, quote unquote, this is what they're saying, spiritual people can't understand that it's a rejection and it's nothing more than a rejection. Why is it that you're trying to make it more than what it is, basically? And it's disingenuous because, and we're going to talk about that directly, right? And I'm using it as a teaching moment because of the fact that it's too disingenuous in on itself to even say that the person didn't like you when the person spent so much of their time trying to desperately get another person's attention. Then second of all, this is why it is that I say that there will be no kind of dissension with anybody in the comment sections here on my channel, no exceptions, because the reason why it is that I'm saying that in the first place is due to the fact that what a lot of people don't really take the time, take the minute to understand is you seeing all of these, like, these blank faces of alleged people who are leaving all these, like, disgusting and disingenuous and stressful comments. And it's like, who's to say that that's not AI? A lot of that stuff is bots. A lot of that stuff, whether it's, you know, some idiot from off YouTube trying to essentially create a bot, and then they come here with their bots and all this dysfunction and stuff like this, or whatever the case may be, or whatnot. And you can see how it is that you can, if you even have vision, you can understand why it is that that discussion between people and relationships and everything like that is so infuriating. Is because some of that stuff is generated from bots trying to start beef between everybody, trying to restart it again. There's always someone or something trying to keep individuals in circuitous logic, which is not really logic, but circuitous logic, constantly in a circle. We get to one point and then you have something or someone trying to reignite the fire so that we can continue to talk. Some of us bicker, some of us argue about the same old crap, even though we already know what works and what doesn't. We've staticized it, or we've studied game enough to be able to understand what works and what doesn't, so that everybody can understand what works for them and what doesn't necessarily work for them, right? If you study it enough. So that's number one. So that's number two. To get back to number one, the fact that it's disingenuous. And we can say factually that it's disingenuous because how many times, my dear Capricorns, or the cross watchers, anybody who's watching this video, where a person will say something where it's like they will be all on board, right, to date you, hang out with you, and then when it's time now come for them to actually hang out with you, they basically let you down. That's extensive. A person who has no time to waste, because it's too disingenuous, because when you ask them why is it that they did this, they always come up with something disingenuous and go, because you're beneath me and you need to understand that. That's disingenuous. That's disingenuous. And it's disingenuous for multiple reasons. But one of the reasons why it is that it's disingenuous, the more obvious reason why it is that it's more disingenuous, is due to the fact that if a person allegedly has no time to waste, that's a lot of time that they wasted talking to somebody, hanging out with somebody, lying to somebody when they're really supposed to be on their business, handling their business somewhere else. That is more, that would bring them much more benefit to spending that time, as opposed to wasting that time, even though on the other hand, they claim that they don't have any time to waste. That doesn't make any sense. You either have time to waste or you don't have time to waste. If you have time to waste, then just say that. But if you don't have time to waste, you can't say, oh, I want to break you down and make you feel real low and small, but I don't have time to waste or whatever on you. You're a bum, you're this and you're that. And it's like, but you've already wasted how much umpteen time on said person. So that literally makes no sense whatsoever. And then not only that too, but also it's also very disingenuous too, due to the fact that there is no truth when it comes to the lost value system. Because how many times we've seen people have this real obscure way of thinking where everything basically is confusion. And what I mean when I say that, I mean they actually are with, answer the phone calls, they kick it with, they have families, offspring with an individual that they can barely get along with, supposedly, argue with nonstop. You always hearing some gossip about them, and a lot of it is not good, if any of it is good, and they just can't generally seem to be able to somehow get along. But yet at the same time now, the person that is treating them well, they can't seem to stay with. They ignore those individuals. They try to go out of their way to be sadomasochistic to those individuals, destroy those individuals, make them feel down, make them feel small. Confusion. Because who wants to be in a relationship with a dysfunctional jerk off? That's the plan in life. That's a person's goals and aspirations and dreams. That's a person's goals. When people ask that person, what is their golden relationship? What is their pristine relationship? Their pristine relationship is to be in a relationship with a person that, they consider it to be nonstop excitement from bickering and arguing. And this is what I mean when I say that it's crisscross. Because again, to use the whole Gisele Bündchen and the Tom Brady thing, right? All of this stuff is wild, because you end up marrying Tom Brady, but then Tom Brady, one of the most influential, according to them, this is what they saying, one of the most influential and popular football players that the league, the NFL, has ever had. You end up being with that person, and then you cheat on that person and call that person a bum. One of the most decorated football players of all time, according to them. I don't watch football, but according to them, right? One of the most decorated football players of all time, and Tom Brady is the bum, according to Gisele Bündchen's thoughts, according to her. But the Brazilian, I don't know if it's Brazilian jiu-jitsu, but the jiu-jitsu artist, right? The jiu-jitsu practitioner, the personal trainer, who's nowhere near accomplished to where Tom Brady is, that person isn't a bum. You see the confusion? Do you see how warped it is? It's the idea that one person is a bum, one person isn't. But the way that life actually plays itself out, the person who they calling a bum actually ends up being the winner in life, but they call that person a bum. That person can afford to go to a bodega and order a bagel with cream cheese on it and pay for it with no problem. But the person that they call a winner is the person who not only doesn't have money, but asks them for money. So what that says about a person's mentality is it almost seems as if how they decide who actually won versus who is a loser is based upon who can entice them, this person with said inflated sense of self-worth, to actually convince them to hang out with them, not who are actual winners. That's why it is that it's not just it's a rejection, but we need to go deeper into this, because these dating coaches rile up a lot of these individuals, because a person who knows how to see the game for what it is and how to stay away from it is a person who essentially knows what to do and knows how to function. So guess what? That's a lost customer. Why not have the customer going back and forth on this wheel of fortune, this hamster wheel, forever and ever and ever and ever and ever, chasing after a shadow that can never actually fulfill? The dating coaches will tell these youngins, oh yeah, you out here, the person doesn't respect you. That's why it is that this person does this. And then now you got this chip on your shoulder where you got to boss up. You got to talk like this. You got to act like this. You got to be hard like this. Not even realizing that they're turning you into a person with a chip on their shoulder, instead of you giving yourself a moment to actually see the truth. That this person more than likely isn't the person that you would want to have by your side, calling themselves your significant other in the first place, due to the fact that this person is dysfunctional anyway. Because even when they get themselves into relationships with the people that they act like they want and they want so bad, those people can't seem to get along with the people that they claim from their mouth that they want so bad. They shortly break up after that, or however long it takes them to break up, they break up. And you would think that since this person is their dream relationship, right, significant other, you would think that that person would mean that they would be in heaven, right? That's all it is that I got to say. Peace.